With the release of Stalingrad, Enlisted has gotten its 5th campaign, for better or for worse. However, with Enlisted having released yet another campaign, most of the issues currently in Enlisted haven't been fixed. Therefore today I'll be explaining some of the biggest issues in Enlisted and my fixes for these issues. My name is Napoleon Total, and let's get started with the video. The first and probably the biggest issue in Enlisted is the progression system. People have been complaining how it takes forever to level up, or how some of the levels are in some of the campaigns are exactly the same, the weapon unlocks and what you get. This really has to do with the horrible state of the current progression system in Enlisted. Apparently Enlisted has opted for a linear progression system that is step by step. Although there are many advantages in this campaign progression, there are also a lot of downsides. Most of the time you will be progressing the exact same level for the exact same stuff, and for the exact same weapons and vehicles, just in a different campaign. One notable example is Axis Normandy and Axis Berlin, where you get exactly the same weapons in the endgame. It's just that in 2 different campaigns. Therefore, I have a proposal. Why don't we take the War Thunder system, where weapons of different types are earned by experience? An example is of the image that you see right here, where you can go down one branch or path of the weapon or vehicle that you want. For example, if you want to grind the SMG branch, you have to play with an SMG. If you want to grind a rifle, all you have to do is play the rifle. Obviously, this doesn't change the wonderful class system or squad system that Enlisted has. They are just here for the weapons guide, or weapons grinding. That said, the unlocking of different classes can still be used by a linear progression or the system that we have right now. Your starter squads will obviously be rifleman squads, and you'll slowly grind up to machine gun squads, gunner squads, radioman squads, flamethrower squads, and obviously engineer squads. This is the exact system that we have right now with squad unlocks, which is a fine system. The only suggestion I have is for a different overhaul of the weapons system, meaning that we will have a different weapons unlock or progression system. One is the one I already have proposed, in which we go down trade. But that said, let's move on to the next issue. The next issue is apparently a fix for not restricting the game to the campaign system. For those that are wondering, what this means is that we just disabled the campaign system. This is obviously going to require the biggest overhaul that Enlisted ever had, but the general idea is that the campaign system is replaced by factions, and each faction will be fighting other factions on a map. This is exactly what we have with War Thunder, where different factions fight each other. That means that we will not be having a single campaign, but different maps from different campaigns. Instead, players will fight on different maps from those campaigns. One example is where a player might fight on the Stalingrad map, and the same player can, in the next battle, can fight on a map from Tunisia, similar to what we have in War Thunder. Obviously, with that in mind, weapon parallels in which some factions get the exact same weapon unlocks will not exist, since they're the only factions like Germany and non-campaign factions like Axis Moscow. So we basically limit the campaigns to factions, and then we just remove the campaign and just put in maps exactly what the War Thunder system is like. So to recap, the campaign will be taken away with general factions to be added in and their own tech trees and progression system. One good example obviously is the War Thunder system. And let's be honest, Gaijin pretty much has a lot of experience with War Thunder, so all they have to do is essentially copy and paste and do a lot of minor tweaking stuff. This obviously shouldn't be hard for Gaijin, but now we have a campaign system that is pretty rough. Obviously, this is going to require the entire Enlisted game to be overhauled. However, I can promise you that with this overhaul, the game is going to be much, much, much better. However, those are my suggestions. What do you guys think? Put your suggestions in the comments down below. Our next issue is bugs. Another issue that Enlisted has is the bugs. Honestly, every game has bugs, and Enlisted is no exception. This is the only one in which I think it's not game-changing / game-destroying. Definitely we don't really have to worry about this. Enlisted, it has been doing a pretty good job of just like fixing the bugs as things have been going on, so I'm not really worried about that. So let's move on to the next issue. The next major issue is more of a personal preference, but it's still an issue nevertheless. An interesting thing that Enlisted should change is the customization system. Basically, I already talked about this in the Stalingrad video, but the idea is that as of right now, customization costs a lot of money, or gold, or appearance orders. So basically, with those three systems in mind, most of us are just going to be paying money. Therefore, on average, for every campaign and for maxing out every soldier with the customization, you need around 200 USD, or American dollars. That is a lot, and Enlisted really should make it free, or have the customization should be completed or rewarded with certain levels. Speaking of campaigns and levels, Enlisted should give the customization to other campaigns than Stalingrad. This is actually not something I'm worried about, but I'm pretty sure they're working on it as I speak. That said, the customization issue in which we have to pay money is really a big pain. Enlisted should have the exact same system that is currently in War Thunder, and as of right now, a lot of people think the customization system and the new Stalingrad update with the Stalingrad bundle is a money grab. But let's get on to the next issue. The next few issues are not really issues by me, and they're really issues by other content creators. During these past few days, I have decided to reach out to other content creators to get them to share their beliefs. Obviously, this is done because I want to give you guys a better perspective of what needs to be changed. So let's get started with some content creators for those who you might know. By the way, for those that haven't heard of these people, I really highly suggest that you check out their videos. They do a wonderful job at their content. And let's get started. Our first creator is Schmetovum, or I hope I say that correctly. Some of these names are quite hard, honestly. He states that, quote, "For me, the most important thing right now is they say free to play, not like Stalingrad where 40% of the campaign is locked behind a paywall. I think Enlisted is still way too small to depend on a free to play player for its player base to do something like that. What gets really boring to me are the lackluster updates, so big contents only happen every 3 to 4 months, and most of the new levels are just filler content like the rifles with AT grenades in Normandy, or the reusable ZH-28 in Enlisted and Tunisia, and so on. Also, I really hate the vehicle progression, Panzer IVe to Panzer IV F1s to just mind-boggling boring. They should bring a Stug variant with the short 75mm cannon as an example. Another BF-110 that flies slightly faster, that is an exciting either. Besides, what I really like to remove is the gray zone, or the play able area much larger. Gray zone camping is still the issue, and for those who don't know what gray zone camping is like apparently, as of right now, it's like there's a gray zone, and to put it in the most simplest way, there's a gray zone, and basically what happens in that gray zone is that the enemy can camp there while you have a hard time going in, and yeah, you're just gonna, in that case, you're just gonna have a hard time taking them out. I also hate when I'm defending and the enemy forces camp in their own spawn and I have to suicide kill them in the gray. For progression, I do like your proposal. I'm fine with the system as it currently is, but I know I'm a minority. For me, it's motivation that is keeping me grinding. So with Premium, the progress is rightish, but I usually score first place and get a lot of kills. So yeah, I don't have Premium. So yeah, if I didn't have Premium and a less skilled player, it probably would take a long grind. Another big problem for me is the maps, or lack of maps. I would love to see them bring more maps to existing campaigns. 2 per big content patch would be nice. Also, they should be looking into map rotation, because getting the same maps over and over happens way too often to me, and as a player in Enlisted, I can totally agree. Sometimes you get the exact same maps and the exact same campaigns at the exact same time zones, like literally it's not fun. And some of the maps are obviously bugged, not to mention some of the maps are inherently unfair. One example is some of the maps in Normandy. Another thing. They need to fix bugs. There is long-known bugs, for example, the broken flight model for the FW-190, or that weapons can be reloaded with 2 clips, like the Gewehr 41, which always should reload 2 clips, a 5-shot, no matter how many bullets are left. We need the option to have password for custom servers, and that is from Schmetovum. Let's move on to the next content creator, and you guys probably heard of him, and his name is Macaroni. He states that, quote, Sure, I'll tell you some of the things I think are major issues of Enlisted. The grind is horrendously long and painful for free-to-play players, which is the majority of the player base. Repeated unlocks across multiple campaigns, unlocking the MP40 in all 4 campaigns, is an issue. Lack of public exposure, in the sense that Gaijin needs to put this game on Steam. Like, obviously, before, for those who don't know, I kind of left Enlisted when Moscow and Normandy came out. I started playing during August last year, and I thought Enlisted was gonna be released on Steam so I can be playing it on Steam. Obviously that didn't happen, and when I came back half a year later, we got Berlin, and not to mention Gaijin didn't really give us Enlisted on Steam, so yeah. Not the best experience. There are a ton of bugs and other QOL changes that need to be made, but the previous problems are much larger. Mounting weapons should be way easier than how it is now. I totally agree. As of right now, in Moscow, there's a problem in the sense that, well, not really a problem, but a problem for those people who created their accounts back in the day. And when I mean back in the day, I mean for those people who literally played Enlisted when it was first released in August of 2021. Basically, what's happening is now, currently, we do not have bayonets for Axis Moscow. And you might be thinking, well, that's not possible because everyone who plays Moscow as a new player right now, as I speak, has the access to the bayonet, or Unleashed, or whenever the last bayonet patch was added to Moscow. What this means is that the player base that started Enlisted doesn't have bayonets on their rifles, which, although it's not a big issue, it's really a big one when you consider that in Axis Moscow, every advantage that the Axis needs matters. But that is also an issue. Like, mounting weapons with scopes should also be way easier. Like, this is a problem. But the biggest issue of them all needs to be movable anti-tank guns. As of right now, I don't know the situation of anti-tank guns, but last time I checked, in Berlin, that is still a problem. This one is mainly a joke against players, but Darkflow announced this plan changed months ago. Sorry, it took me a while to get back to you. I'm usually quite busy over the weekend. Obviously, that was from Macaroni, and let's move on to the next content creator. This time it's here, Smallhausen. Things that I want to change in Enlisted is passwords for custom battles, possibility to change accounts of vehicles, possibility to change amount of vehicles in custom battles, and more possibilities to explore maps in custom battles, add half-tracks, movable anti-tank guns, enlighten Enlisted Proud. Anti-tank guns should be used under a bomber squad, 7 troops, half-tracks, and AT. My idea of game mode Ambush, Winter War campaign, Ambush would fit really well, and my dream KV-2 and IS-2 tanks. Obviously, I agree with most of them, but like, a Winter War campaign, it's just, my opinion is that a Winter War campaign is just going to be Soviets versus Finns, which, the Finns, honestly, it's very cool. The Soviets, we're just going to get the Soviets, but thankfully, at least it's, hopefully, Gaijin will make it more bold action focus and more ambush focus, which, yeah, Winter War scenario can be very, very, very cool. So that is here Smallhausen, and let's move on to our next content creator. Our next content creator is Disordered, and he claims that one thing that annoys the hell out of me is throwing TNT as soon as you go in prone, force switch to your secondary. Another thing is Tunisia has the old black screen bug where AI falls into the void, and fix is to alt 4 out of the game or click suicide. Honestly, this is a big problem. As a matter of fact, I had this when I was not only Tunisia but like Berlin. Like, I had this happen to me in Berlin, and yeah, this is a big problem. It's just AI pathfinding issues, and yeah, this really needs to be fixed. Hopefully Enlisted fix it as soon as possible. Also, on that note, a lot of these content creators I have been saying, also, and I have been mentioning, of course, have also been claiming that they want changes to AIs. They just don't want the AIs to essentially get themselves killed. Like, you tell the AI. One example is you tell the AI to go right, they go left. It's not fun. It's horrendous. Bonus, I hate climbing out of the water as soon as the geometry doesn't understand players' hitboxes change elevations. Yeah, sometimes when you climb out of the water, you are stuck in the water. Sometimes you will legit drown yourself to death, and it's not funny. Like, the swimming system for when you're reaching the shore can be funky sometimes. Another issue that he brings up is the level requirements for needing about 400 XP just to reach the final level needs to be cut in half. 4 million XP, my bad. He also gives us, this board also gives us the Enlisted video game Wikipedia. And yeah, for those who don't know, this is a pretty good site. I use this sometimes, but the only problem as of right now is that there's not a lot of information on that, but it will change sooner or later. So I highly recommend you guys to visit this Wikipedia. That's it. That is all the content creators that I can bring to bear. And by the way, for those that are wondering whether or not these creators believed in my idea of overhauling the entire Enlisted system with a new vehicle progression and weapons progression and a new faction system, most of them agreed with them, which is quite nice. Some have even posted their own videos of what they think should happen, which just goes to show you how important these changes need to be Enlisted. That said, I'm very thankful for all these creators for taking their time to write their responses. They have been quite supportive of my channel, and I highly suggest that you guys subscribe to them. They make wonderful content, if not awesome content, and they are truly wonderful people. That said, that wraps it up for this video. If you have any suggestions, please put them down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and join the Discord. That is all for now. I'll see you on the battlefield. Now before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.